All right, everybody, we are going live right now to talk about autism. If you are a parent of a child with autism, if you have autism, if you have questions about autism, you are in the right place. We're going live here for probably about 2 hours. Usually we get a couple hundred people in here, but it does just take a minute. We are just barely starting. If you're coming in, please tap the screen. It gets it out to more people. Thank you for being here. We are also live on YouTube, but we are talking about autism. Aiden, hello, good to see you. Please tap that screen, you guys. It really does make a difference here in the first 5 minutes of the live. I appreciate you guys being here. We are talking autism today. Just got my kid off to ABA, and we are doing good. Let me go ahead and get some of these chats out here. 1 second, just getting everything loaded up and set up. Okay. Aiden, I'm doing pretty good. You know what? You know what's going on with us is we're trying to find a good dentist for my son. And it's hard because for a kid with autism, you got to find someone who knows how to deal with a kid with autism, someone with patience, but also they need to be able to accept your insurance. And all those things lining up seems to be rare. So we're going to have to drive an hour to the closest dentist that takes our insurance, who also has expertise with children with autism. And so that's been my morning, is trying to find what dentist to get for my son with autism. All right, you guys, if you're just barely coming in, you should know that this is a safe place, a place that we talk about autism. You can ask questions about autism. We can have open dialogue about autism. If you have questions, this is the place to ask them. If you just want to understand better, if you're curious, if your child has autism, we talk about everything. Maria says, my 2.5-year-old daughter has autism. She only eats chips and her bedtime routine is so bad. Oh, I feel you. Look, the restricted diet is a real thing. It's kids with autism tend to have safe foods. And we can expand on those safe foods, but you got to be careful because you can't parent like you would potentially a neurotypical kid. You can't do those things where you say, hey, you better eat what we make or else you go to bed hungry, because a lot of kids with autism will go to bed hungry, they'll become malnourished, and it's not a good outcome. So, hey, Mom Skeeter, good to see you. Let's see. Christy says, I haven't been able to get my 6-year-old ASD to a dentist. It's a struggle. Christy, I know, my 3.5-year-old has never been to the dentist. This is going to be the first time. Hopefully it works out. And yeah, Christy, I see your other comment here. Power moves don't work with ASD kids. Yeah, the more you resist, the more they resist sometimes. Tina says, my son is almost 6 and still not talking. What can I do? He goes to Action Behavior Center. Tina, you're doing the right thing. You're getting the services. And Tina, it never feels like you're doing enough. As an autism parent, it never feels like we're doing enough. The whole point of what I try to do here on these lives is to stand up for autism parents and make sure you know that you are doing enough. You cannot control what your child learns and how your child acts necessarily. You can only decide what you offer your child. And there's so much misinformation out there about, if you really love your kid, you would do all these experimental things, all these detoxing, all these supplements to help your child, when that's not evidence-based. It's really basic to take care of a kid with autism. And we'll get into that today. Stay tuned. We're definitely going to talk about that today. Autistic people hurt my feelings because they are brutally honest. Social clout. There are some people with autism who tend to be brutally honest. Yeah. Elizabeth says, my 2.5-year-old little guy was using his imagination yesterday. It was amazing. I cried. Elizabeth, oh my gosh. Imaginative play is a huge milestone for kids, especially kids with autism. So good. So good. Forging says, hi, how close are we with AI support in finding cause and cure for autism? Okay, so Forging, what a good question. First of all, there is no cure to autism. It's not something that needs to be cured. It's not a disease. It's just the way the brain was developed. As far as causes go, we have a lot of really good understanding. It is not a complete mystery. We know that 80 to 90% of autism cause is genetic. We know this from twin studies. And I can break that down a little further at some point in this live. But we do know it's largely genetic. And then we've identified a lot of risk factors that happen while the mother is pregnant. However, keep in mind, all of the risk factors are during the prenatal and perinatal phase of a child's development, meaning during pregnancy or during delivery. There are no known risks for autism that I have seen any research on after the first couple days of the child's life. All risk factors for autism are either genetic or while the mother is pregnant. But Team says, and what causes that gene? It's not one gene. It is polygenic. And so there are hundreds of genes that contribute to this. There are factors that contribute to the genes, though. Parental age is one that can cause some gene mutations that are correlated with autism. And so if there's an older father, especially over the age of 40, there's a slight risk of autism. My 7-year-old is learning to read and mastering potty training. He manded to go for the first time. Wow. And Shell, way to go using manded. Are you in the ABA world or just a parent that's learned all the ABA lingo? Very cool. Very cool. You guys, I try to get to all the questions. We do tend to get pretty busy here with all the followers. If you are new here, let me do a little bit of an introduction. And in the meantime, I'll let you know that for the next little bit, especially today, I am prioritizing comments that are in the on YouTube. And so I just barely started streaming on YouTube. So head on over there if you want to ask questions to guarantee that I'm going to respond to. You can go over there and comment on YouTube, and I will 100% answer as soon as I see it. I have it pulled up here. And so whenever there's a comment there, I prioritize those. But if there aren't any, I do go through these TikTok comments. So keep on talking there. A little bit about me. So my name is Kylan. I live in Utah. Autism seems to be my entire life. I got 2 kids with autism. I have a 3.5-year-old and a nearly 2-year-old with autism. And they are the most beautiful children I've ever seen, inside and out. I wouldn't change them for the world. But that doesn't mean there aren't challenges. It's hard. I'm also a board-certified behavior analyst. So I work with kids with autism doing ABA therapy. And I've been doing that for over a decade. Right now, I am the CEO of a company in Utah that provides services to people with autism throughout the state. We have several clinics throughout the state, and it's a lot of fun. But my favorite part of my day is coming here on these live streams, talking to people, because I need a village, and I feel like a lot of you guys need a village, and we can be that village together. I go live every day for a couple of hours, so make sure that you're following so that next time I go live, you can see me. If it says follow right up there, that means you don't follow me yet. Tap that button right there. That makes sure that you can see next time I go live. All right, they make it hard for autism to be diagnosed. It can be really hard. Yes, it can. I didn't know Utah had that specialty. That's amazing. Well, I'm in Utah, and those are the clinics that we run. So any tips for non-U.S. residents that don't have access to ABA or any other programs? Dana, you got to look at what is available. I typically recommend 4 different types of therapies. That doesn't mean you have to do all 4, but there's 4 options that are evidence-based, insurance quite often pays for, and that includes ABA therapy. But if that's not available, it also includes occupational therapy, speech therapy, and mental health therapy. Once you have that and you're building your care team, then you can move on and you can start learning some of these skills yourself if you don't have access to ABA. Let's see. Antiania says, hi, I have autism and have my own apartment and waiting to get a job. Well done. Well done, Antiania. Good luck with that job. My girl does ABA, feeding, occupational, and speech. Great. Who does the feeding? Typically, the feeding therapy is an occupational therapist or ABA or speech. And so I'm curious who is doing your feeding therapy. Elizabeth says, I want baby number 2. My husband is scared to have another baby with autism, higher level autism. Chances? Elizabeth, yeah, this is something to be aware of. Look, I don't want to deter anyone from having more kids, okay? But I do have data on this. So what the data say is that Those who have, if you have a child with autism, the chances that your next child will also have autism are about 20%. That is about 10 times higher chance from if you don't currently have a child with autism. And that's because we know autism is genetic. But again, don't let that deter you from having another kid. Kids with autism live meaningful lives. Their lives have value. But yeah, I mean, there can be struggles with it. And it's also not a guarantee. I mean, I'm not saying this. It's more likely than not that your next child will not have autism. But you should be aware of that reality, mostly just so that I see how I look at that. That wouldn't guide my decision to have another kid or not, but it would make me do everything I can to catch and look for signs of autism very early on. And so that's how my daughter, we knew she had autism at about 1.5 because her brother has autism, and we knew there was an increased chance, and we saw the signs. So she has a diagnosis and is able to start early intervention even earlier. All right, you guys, if you are new here, make sure you're following. I'm curious, who here is just seeing me for the first time? Put FYP in the chat. If you're brand new here, put FYP in the chat. I want to know, I like to know who all is here for the first time. Do we have a lot of new people here? Oh, look at that, you guys. We do. We got some people coming in from the FYP. I love that. Okay. Yes, thank you guys for being here. I love this. Is there a relation to other mental health disorders in older siblings, and youngest has autism? I don't have data on that. I'm not sure. I'm not afraid to say what I don't know. That's one of those things that I don't know. And you know what? Repeat listener, I love repeat listeners as well. Come back. If you're brand new here, For You page, make sure you're following so that you can come back and watch again. And I'm just going to reiterate, we have a lot of people asking questions. I do prioritize any questions that come in on the YouTube chat. You can go into YouTube. Link is in my bio. And if you really want me to read a question out loud or a thought or a statement, you put it there and I'm going to read it. So make sure you're subscribing over there on YouTube. Is it very weird for my autistic husband not wanting any closeness? Sophie, that's such a good question. That can be pretty common with autism, is not wanting perhaps physical closeness as much as normal. My 3.5-year-old, he loves affection, but it has to be on his terms. He'll occasionally come and sit on my lap, but it's not common. But if I ever initiate that contact or that affection, it's immediately, no, I don't want anything to do with it. It makes me really weird thinking, even if I know he loves me. Yeah, Sophie, that's a hard place to be, because you have needs and you need to feel loved. And when that contradicts with his, the way that he needs to feel loved, here's the thing, is in any relationship, even if there are things that aren't your favorite, but you know it's important to your spouse, you can find middle ground, and you can both show each other the ways that you love each other. My son is neurodivergent, studying math at Cambridge University. Autism doesn't mean less than. Thank you. Spill the tea fast. I love that perspective. Look, autism, when it's diagnosed, autism is a disability when it's diagnosed, because to get that diagnosis, it has to impede parts of that person's life. And what that means is there may be support that person needs. What it doesn't mean is any indication on their future potential in life. And so if you have a child with autism, their future has not been determined. About 40% of kids with autism end up going to college. It's very common for kids with autism to go and move to college. That's only slightly less than the neurotypical population. And so please, don't limit your perspective on your child, but where your focus needs to be is what support do they need today? That's what the question is. Is it the same as developmental delay? Okay, so There's categories of intellectual disability and developmental disability. There are developmental delays typically associated with autism. However, it does not mean that it's always an intellectual disability. So, yeah, c'est la vie, address the here and now. I agree completely. What if your child doesn't want to go to school? That's hard. That's hard. You gotta understand where a lot of these kids are coming from. It's a lot to go to school and be with all these peers that they know nothing about. They can tell that they feel a little bit different, and it's not, the ideal space for them. I'd have to know more about your situation, but just know there's options. You got to work with your IEP team. You also should speak to your care team about what the best option is for your child. Some kids find, especially if they're still working on communication, they may find that a year or two of ABA without going to school can benefit them more than going to school, depending on what supports look like. Oh, family of 8. That's a good point. My son was able to do a reduced timetable. Yeah, that's cool. Support is key. So many strengths to neurodivergence, but it's an uphill struggle without help. Yeah. So many strengths. That's why I talk about the autism journey and the parts of the journey. And the very first part, if you are new to this journey and you just have a child with autism or you think you do, the very first step isn't about getting your kid all the help they can. The first step is getting you, the parent, help. You need a village. You need a village. It is really hard to do this alone. Answer this in the chat, you guys. If you had an emergency and you had to go to the emergency room, and you didn't know how long you were going to be there, would you have a village that could come and take care of your kid for you if you're an autism parent? Put yes or no in the chat. Do you have someone? Do you have a village that would help you out in that kind of emergency? Put yes or no in the chat. I want to know, do you have that village? Because if you don't, I mean, that needs to be number one priority. We always talk about what diet, vaccines, all these conspiracies, but we got to take a step back before any of this. Like, are you breathing? Are you above water right now? Are you drowning? And if you answered no to that question, I hate to break it to you, but you're drowning. And I don't want you worried about, the best diet for your kid when you look at that situation and you don't even have a village. If it's been years since you've been able to go on a date night, if you can't remember the last time you slept away from home without your child, you need a village. You need a village. And it's not oh no, I don't have a village, I guess I don't. No, you can build a village. You can build your village. Let me tell you what I did is I have about 15 neighbors that I am close with, that if something like that happened, I could make a phone call and get any one of them over to my house. And I trust them and I know them and they'd be willing to help. I did that through service, through helping them, through bringing them cookies, giving them Christmas gifts, by inviting them over for dinner and getting to know them during times when it wasn't crazy. And I built my village. So, that's what I recommend that you guys do, is work, prioritize now before you even focus on your kids. Focus on building your village so that you can get above ground. We got some comments coming in on YouTube. I said I was going to prioritize those. Again, YouTube is in my bio. Make sure that you are following or subscribed on YouTube. And then I'm going to read some of these questions. Alicia says, what is a percentage of kids that are nonverbal are able to become verbal? We currently do ABA, speech, OT, SPED, preschool. I need to fact check this. The statistic that is typically spoken and what I have heard is that if you start early intervention with ABA therapy and really impactful services, OT, all of these things, if they are nonverbal, then about 95% of kids who are nonverbal, if they start before the age of 3, end up being fully conversational. That's a pretty good percentage. Now, just know that your child's worth doesn't come from their ability to converse vocally. And it's okay if your child never is able to vocally converse. Our goal as parents isn't to make our kids normal. Our goal is to give them the best chance at support and become the best version of themselves and help them access as much reinforcement as possible. Let's see. Again, over here on YouTube, Pooh says, my 19-month-old only says about 10 words. He is very smart otherwise. Is this a concern? It could be. It could be. The recommendation that I have is go over to look up the MChat, MCHAT. It's an autism screener, the MChat autism screener. And it's going to ask you some questions about your kid. It's going to ask you things like, does your kid point when your kid wants things? Remember, speech isn't the only concern with autism. There's so much to it. And so one thing with autism is they typically don't point at things. Or if you point, they don't look. They may struggle to respond to their name. They may go and engage in repetitive behaviors like flapping their hands or spinning. And so it could be a concern, but there's a bigger story there. And I do recommend that you go and do the MChat. Stephanie over on YouTube. Again, at YouTube, I'm prioritizing those comments over there. But as soon as we get done there, I'm going to come back over to the TikTok chat if there's no more questions on YouTube. Stephanie says, my high-functioning 20-year-old son has gotten fired from the last 4 jobs. He calls in for fatigue, a headache, and thinks it should be okay if he has a doctor note. He lies to us and says work canceled him. Stephanie, that's hard. A couple things here is if you have autism and you have a job, you have more rights than you know. Under the ADA, you have protections where your job needs to give you reasonable accommodations. I'm an employer. I employ about 100 people in the state of Utah, and I deal with this all the time. And as an employer, I am happy to do it. If I have someone with a disability with needs, I want to create a system where they can be successful. But the employer can't help if they don't know. So my recommendation is, number one, if you're applying for a job and you have autism, in the interview, do not say that you have autism. Legally, they are not allowed to discriminate or make a hiring decision based on you having autism. But if you disclose it in the interview, chances are they're going to find a different reason. It's the autism, but they're going to find a different reason not to hire you. Do not disclose it in the interview. However, once you start working and you identify that there are needs that you have, you need to go to human resources of your job. You need to say, hey, look, I have autism. It's a disability, and I have rights to accommodations. Here are the struggles that I have. And I want to work with you on finding a way that I can be successful. I want this job to last. I want to stay here long term. Here are my concerns, and work with your employer on coming up with an accommodation. Pooh says, I did the MChat the other day. His score was 5. Okay, I got to review what the scores are. Zero to 2 is low risk. Medium is 3 to 7. Requires follow-up interview. High risk 8 to 20. Okay, both of my kids who are level 2, they were way high. They scored like 14 or 15. And so 5 is right there in the middle ground. You are right to be nervous, but I wouldn't be terrified. What I would do is I would probably, if you're medium risk, I would probably have an initial consult with a psychologist to see about getting diagnosed. Insurance should cover it. And yeah, that's my recommendation. Again, we have more questions coming in over on YouTube. Remember, you guys, I do read the TikTok chats, but I am prioritizing currently the comments coming in on YouTube as I'm trying to continue to grow my presence there. And so I'll be jumping back and forth, but as long as we have people, oh, hello, Destiny, good to see you. As long as we have questions coming in on YouTube, I'll keep reading those. Thank you for answering. We started early intervention at 18 months. ABA at 2.5. He is smart right now. We use some sign language and PECs. He's very good at picture recognition. Alicia, you are doing so good. I just want you to know that as the parent, You have literally done everything within your power, and your child's progression is currently up to, his potential and where, he is able to go. But you need to sleep well at night knowing that you have done everything you can to give him the best chance at that. Well done, Alicia. All right, you guys, back over to TikTok. Let's look at some of these comments over here. If you are new here, go ahead and hit me a follow. I go live every day for a couple of hours. I don't know. I guess I'd call myself an autism expert. A little bit about myself is that I have a couple kids with autism. I have 4 kids overall, 2 of which are on the spectrum. And then I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. I have a master's degree in autism studies with an emphasis in applied behavior analysis. And I am the CEO of a company in Utah that provides services throughout the state to people with autism. We have a few clinics here. And my favorite part of my day is joining my village here on TikTok for a couple hours. During the morning, right now, it's a little bit more of support, okay? It is positive. We'll bring people up on occasion, and we will have meaningful conversations. No judgment zone. During the evenings, sometimes I go live in the evenings, and you get to see a different side of me. I like to bring up people who disagree, and I bring up a little more controversial topics, such as, do vaccines cause autism? And does detox work? And we have meaningful conversation. It's not debate. It's not mean. It's not rude. It is meaningful conversation. But all that I do is I advocate for people with autism, and I advocate for parents of people with autism. I am very protective over my autism parents. If you're an autism parent, I see you, and I want to protect you, and I want to be a voice with you. Quiet Strength says, yes, detox works and gut health. Detox does not work. There are so many studies showing that detox in general as a treatment for autism is not recommended. And that when you do placebo studies with detox, there is no impact on autism symptoms when you do detox. So I have all that referenced in my bio if you want to go check it out. It's one of those predatory marketing schemes that you'll see a lot of people. Look, guys, I could be so wealthy right now. Let me tell you what I'd have to do. I'd have to respond to all the supplement companies in my inbox saying, hey, will you please advertise for us? We want you to sell our supplements because I get bombarded with it. And I only have 24,000 followers or something on TikTok. I'm not a super popular creator. I'm brand new. I'm just a couple months into this. But if you look, all the people who try to tell you that detox works, they're selling you supplements. They're selling you supplements. All right, you guys, let's keep going. If you want to see more of that side of me, hit me a follow and come late at night, and we'll have more conversation like that. But autism parents, again, I talk about this because I've been there, and we want to do everything we can for our kids. We will do anything for them. And sometimes that means that we try things that aren't established in research, and it uses our time, energy, and resources. Max the Wendigo. Good question. Will it ever get easier? I ask myself that sometimes. I'm pretty open about this, you guys. I had a breakdown yesterday a little bit, just feeling overwhelmed about everything. It's a lot. It's just hard when your kid can't communicate, It gets easier. It does. For me, when it gets the easiest, when it's the most beautiful for me is when I see the small wins and I recognize the small wins with my child. Ooh, Destiny, that's a good point. It doesn't get easier, but you'll get stronger. I get reinforced very strongly when my child makes it little gains, little wins, and I recognize the little wins. Okay, back over onto YouTube. Tracy, oh my goodness. Tracy, you're on YouTube too? Oh my gosh. Okay. We got Dr. Tracy over on YouTube. We're brand new over on the YouTube, trying to get a little bit of a following over there. Dr. Tracy is the best. I see her all the time on TikTok, and she is just stellar. She has a lot of great content. Okay, again, today I am prioritizing comments coming through on YouTube. If you want to make sure that I read a comment, hop over onto YouTube. I for sure am going to get to those. If you're commenting over on TikTok, I'll do my best, but we have a lot of comments coming through. Let's see. Oh, Tracy, you're brand new to YouTube too. Yeah, YouTube is great. It can be kind of hard to get found on YouTube, I guess. Like TikTok does a good job of shooting out your content. YouTube is more of like, if you're already subscribed, like, I don't know, it's hard to discover on YouTube. Okay, we got a question over here. Do you have any tips when going on a first date? I found it hard to tell my needs to someone new. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so my company in Utah, we work with a lot of teens and adults as well, and relationships and dating is a big topic that we address. And I don't know that I have anything meaningful to say to you of being able to express your needs to someone new. I tell you what, if you want to have the pressure on to be able to mask, go on a first date and have autism. I mean, if you think it's rough going to school and having your kids mask, I think everybody masks when they're on a date. And if you have autism and you're really trying to impress your date, I mean, yeah, the masking is going to be strong. I guess my biggest advice that comes to my mind right now is be yourself. Be yourself, and if yourself is too much, it's better to rule that out on the first date than to mask and be someone who you're not, and find that out, in several dates in. Okay, Sebel says, why is the number are higher in Black, Hispanic, and Asian children? Sebel, that's a good question. I actually don't have the data on race or ethnicity and autism rates. I should definitely pull that up. What I do know is that it occurs equally across all nations, all countries, all ethnicities. Okay, it is autism is real across all communities. And so you hear people say like, oh, the Amish don't have autism and they don't get vaccinated. So there's a correlation there. The truth is that there are some cultures where it's more normal to get diagnosed, and there's other cultures where it's not normal to get diagnosed. And so it's not about like, why is autism happening in one place and not another? It's happening everywhere. The question should be is, why don't some people have access to diagnoses and supports? Liz says, hi, greetings from Mexico. I have autism level 1 right now. It became so difficult I can't work. What part of Mexico are you from, Liz? I lived in Chihuahua for a couple years. Great. I love Mexico. I speak Spanish, but I'm too scared to here on the live. I mean, there's 200 people listening. I can't speak Spanish in front of you guys, but I also just lost my Duolingo streak, you guys. Man, I lost my Duolingo streak. All right. Also, underprivileged countries won't have the resources to get diagnosed. Allie, that's true. Absolutely true. Is autism can occur after birth? Okay, so autism develops, all the risk factors that we know for autism are genetics and then some risk factors during pregnancy. We know of no risk factors that occur a long time after birth. Now, at birth and right around the time of birth, there are some weaker correlations of traumatic births or like premature births and things like that can be associated with autism. But it's largely genetic, and it's not something that you catch or a toxin that you get later on in life. Okay, Tracy has Dr. Tracy Tyson over on YouTube. And guys, she is awesome. She is legit. She says rates are higher in Hispanic and Black populations due to improved access to screening, finally. Thank you for that. It's really the questions when we see variations in diagnosing across communities or cultures, our questions really should be is what is impacting communities to where they can't get the proper diagnoses that they need. Okay, we got more comments coming over on YouTube. Some people tell my son has autism, but I don't see what they see. It is frustrating because he had 2 doctors saying he does not have the autism diagnosis. I don't know if I'm a blind mommy. Greetings from Nicaragua. I love seeing everyone from across the world. I appreciate everyone being here. Okay, here's my thought here is, it is really hard as a parent to know if your child has autism, even if you work with people with autism every day. So for me, I had a son with autism, and the day of my daughter's evaluation a couple weeks ago, I went in and I told the pediatrician, I was like, you know what, like, because I said her name and she looked at me and I'm like, you know what? Maybe she doesn't have autism. She just barely looked at me when I said her name. Like, am I a fool for coming in and getting this evaluation? And the psychologist was like, no, she definitely has autism. And so even me, like being fully immersed in the autism community, already having a child with autism, I second guess things. Okay. I don't always see it. And I just see my child for who my child is. And that's beautiful. But I recommend going and seeking a diagnosis for sure, if there's any doubts. All right, everybody. If you, I want to get a sense for who we have here. If you are if you're an autism parent, or suspected autism parent, put 1 in the chat. If you have autism or think you have autism, put 2 in the chat. And if you are here as a professional or here as an interested party to learn, put 3 in the chat. I like to see what kind of people we have, what the group is like here. Oh, we got a lot of good people. We got a lot of autism parents, a lot of people with autism, and we have people here just to learn. Guys, what a good group. This is so fun. This is why I do this. I go live every day for a couple hours, and it just means the world to me to be able to see the positivity. If you look at our chat, it's positive, you guys. Like, what other TikTok groups can you go in and just feel better about yourself and your life and about your family? Like, it's so rare, and it's because of you guys. This truly is the best village. All right, we have some other comments coming in on the TikTok or on the YouTube. You guys, I am prioritizing today comments coming over on YouTube. Make sure you are subscribing over on YouTube. That way you can see the videos after the fact. So all of my videos all my lives are streamed over onto YouTube at the same time, and they save onto YouTube. TikTok, it doesn't save the lives to let you view it after the fact. YouTube, it does. So you can go back. If you missed one of my lives, you can go back and watch them. All right. So I'm prioritizing comments over on YouTube. I see Alicia says, recently we had to go to the ER and get our 3-year-old stitches. It was frustrating to explain his autism and nonverbal. Finally, the child life people came in and we were able to make a plan to make it less traumatic. Any advice for any future visits? Alicia, I just had the same thing. Oh my gosh. And if Dr. Tracy is still in here, she's going to judge me. I had a bad situation happen, you guys. I had a really bad situation that last week, my daughter with autism. Oh, thank you for the hand hearts. I had a situation where my daughter with autism was quiet for a few minutes, and I looked and she had gotten into our adult container of Tylenol and had dumped it out all over herself. And by the time I got there, she tends to eat things. She eats cat food. She eats a lot of things. And we called poison control immediately. They told us to wait 4 hours. This was already late at night. And so we had to take her into the ER in the middle of the night to get her tested. And they found that she had consumed Tylenol, but it was not at toxic levels, so they didn't have to administer the treatment. And so ER visits are a normal part of the autism experience. And it's what's hard is not only do we have increased visits to the ER and urgent care, but then while we're there, it's hard. It is hard to make sure our kids are comfortable, make sure that they can get the treatment. My recommendation, I'm always very openly, when I go in, I say, hey, my kid has autism and we need some special considerations. And we've always had pretty good experiences. All right, you guys, let's see. What other questions? Recently Susan over on YouTube. Susan says, my granddaughter is 5. She starts kindergarten in the fall. They are already talking IEP. Any advice on things that should be incorporated? She is verbal and smart. She's level 1. Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is so good. You're already talking IEP. She's going to do great. She's going to do great. I don't know your child and their unique needs. My recommendation to you is they're going to do an evaluation. The school evaluations before an IEP can be brutal. When we went with my son, they told me during the evaluation, they said, I'm sorry, but your son has scored in the bottom 1 percentile of all kids, and he doesn't understand anything you say. It may sound like he does, but he doesn't understand anything we're talking about. And I honestly wanted to yell at this person, but then I had to remind myself that their scores are flawed, but that evaluation is the key to more supports. And so as a result of that, my child was eligible for a one-on-one aide who was trained in ABA throughout the school day at the age of 3. And so I am grateful for the supports that he got. All right, you guys. Thank you for being here this morning. This is honestly one of my favorite parts of my day. Have you heard about Dr. Fadul? If so, what do you think about his treatment? Samantha, let's look up Dr. Fadul and his treatments. I don't have any knowledge right now on that name. I might have come across it. What is the treatment that he recommends? But I'm going to look it up. Let's look. Albert Fadul. Oh, the biomedical model of autism. Okay, let me address this. Let me address this for sure. This is one of those examples of some of that fringe science that I want to encourage parents to be careful about, because it overpromises on things that are not clearly evidence-based. And what they do is they have strong theories, right? The theory behind a lot of Dr. Fadul's approach is that inflammation and gut problems lead to neurological problems such as autism. Now, in theory, that sounds great. However, there's some major problems here. Is that any of these treatments that they recommended in all of their blind studies, and I have them all referenced in my bio here, in blind placebo studies, they don't actually address symptoms of autism. So this idea that if you fix the gut, you fix the brain, sounds like a really good selling point for some supplements. I don't know Dr. Fadul, but a lot of people who push this kind of idea are selling you supplements. And so you got to kind of follow the money there on what are they actually trying to sell you. If our kids do have gut problems, I mean, that's a real thing. If you're a doctor, that's one of the leading causes of doctor visits is gut problems for any kids, constipation, diarrhea, all of that. And so to say like that it's going to help autism, you know what? It helps a child feel more comfortable to address when they have a problem with the gut. But it's not because it's addressing the brain. It's because physical problems are uncomfortable. And yeah, we should try to take care of our kids. So I'm very hesitant with that type of fringe science. Let's see. Over here on YouTube, we have more comments coming in. Ari says, what doctor do you recommend? A pediatric neurologist or a psychologist? He is 4 and he talks, sees me right at the eyes, plays, he goes to school, and the teacher says he only has language delay. You can do either one. They're both going to administer the same test. It's called the ADOS. And what I would be looking for is wait list times. You don't wait a year. Okay. That's unacceptable. If you are waiting for a diagnosis, okay, if you are waiting for a diagnosis, I'm curious how many people are. Put wait on in the chat if you are currently waiting for a diagnosis. If you're on a wait list, put wait in the chat. I want to know. Here's my thought is you do not wait more than 6 months for an autism evaluation. If you are currently on a wait list, I want you to look at every psychologist within a 5-hour radius of where you live. And I want you to call every single one of them until you find someone that can get you in within the next couple months. What ends up happening is a pediatrician refers you to a psychologist, and then we got to block someone. This is terrible. All right. Yeah, I only waited 3 months. Agreed. You shouldn't wait that long. Call every single one. You find somewhere, even if you have to drive a few hours, because that year of services that you're going to be losing is impactful. Now, I don't try to fearmonger. I don't try to say like you get a diagnosis today or your child's never going to talk. Like that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying though is There are studies that say the earlier you start, the better the outcomes. And so the longer you wait to get diagnosed, the longer it delays the intervention. And so do all you can to not have to wait, okay? We got more comments over on YouTube. You guys, I've loved this. You guys are all hopping over onto YouTube, and I appreciate that. Makes it so that we can have good conversation here. If you are on YouTube, or if you haven't hopped over there, please go over and subscribe. I'm trying to build up the following there as well. So Erica over on YouTube says, I have 2 kiddos on the spectrum. One has a congenital heart defect, and the other battled leukemia, and now epilepsy and autoimmune encephalitis. Erica, no child should have to go through that, and no parent should have to watch their child go through that. I'm so sorry, Erica. I don't know what else to say other than you have a village here. We have a Facebook group. It's linked in my bio. We also have a Discord chat, and it's linked in my bio. And the purpose of these is to be a safe place for autism parents. It's not a place where people go to sell things or be judgmental or spread controversial information. It's a safe space. And please make sure that you join that and keep us posted how your kid is. Alicia says, at least here in Utah, if you get a referral, it will expedite the process. Yeah, so in Utah, if you're in Utah and you're waiting for a diagnosis, message me. I am connected with a psychologist who can get you in within a month. And if you'll let her know that you know me, she'll treat you well. I know her pretty well. So not part of my company, but someone I really trust. So message me and I can send info your way. All right, a little bit about this channel, you guys. If you are just barely hopping in, I go live every day for about 2 hours. I have 2 kids with autism, and they mean the world to me. I will change the world. I will move mountains for my children, just like I know you guys will with yours. But I have been through everything. I've been through the insurance denials. I've been through the IEPs where I'm crying. I have had the sleepless nights. And it's hard. And I've also been judged. And part of this is ask me anything about autism for autism parents. But also, if you just want to learn about autism, you're in the right place. We need a village as autism parents. And part of that village means we need people who are compassionate towards our children. So we have some more comments coming in through YouTube. Again, if you comment in YouTube, that's a guarantee that I will read it at this point. We're not getting enough comments there that I can't take that back yet. I can keep responding to every single question coming in on YouTube. Let's see. Ari Palacios says, Erica, you are strong. It is so sad the situation you are living. Believe you are strong and you are the best mom your kids could have. Beautiful. Beautifully said. I also want to say, like, I don't always know what to say in these circumstances because I know how I feel. When someone comes to me and says, wow, you have 2 kids with autism, you're so strong. Or they say, I couldn't do it. Part of me is like, do you think I chose it? What is the alternative? What would I do? If you say you couldn't do it or that I'm so strong, I'm not strong. I'm just like doing the minimum to make sure my kids are doing okay. Like I didn't choose this life. I'm not a saint. I'm not a martyr. I am just a guy who's trying to help my kids. So, I think it is a beautiful sentiment, and I think some people need to hear it. It just sometimes when people say things to me that are like, "You are so strong," those are the feelings that I have. One question that I've asked this before. What do you think is the best response when someone says my child has autism, or I just found out my child has autism? And one of the best that I've heard is 2 comments. One is, how are you feeling about that? And genuinely checking in. Like creating a safe space for someone to be open and vulnerable about their child with autism and how they're holding up. There's so much value to that. I look back, when was the last time someone genuinely asked me, like, how are you holding up? How are you feeling about this autism thing? Honestly, the last time someone asked me that, I paid them to ask me that. It's my therapist. But that goes a long way. And the second part of this is the like, let me help. Let me watch your kids. Let me be there for you. Let me be part of your village. Like, that is impactful. Those are two things that you can say to someone when they tell you that they have a kid with autism or disabilities. We have some more comments coming in on YouTube. Let me go ahead and read some of these. We have Samantha, who says, thank you for your response. I've been thinking about taking my son to Dr. Fadul. I know some parents in Mexico who have had wonderful results, even kids age 9 to 11 starting to talk after a month or two. His supposed treatment, but I'm a little skeptical. I rely on science, but as a mom, I don't know if I should give it a try. My son is 9 and nonverbal. Thank you. Look, don't do it. Don't do the fringe sciences. It's expensive. It takes time away from you, but your feeling of I'm never doing enough. This is how we get sucked in to the predatory marketing. It's because we feel like, wow, there's other parents who have done this and it made it so their kid could talk. Look, the only things that are evidence-based to help your kid and support your kid through treatment are these 4 frontline therapies that I recommend. If you are in ABA therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and if your child communicates well, mental health therapy, you are giving your kid the best chance at support. Now, if you have specific concerns, if you think that your child has some health problems, the gut health and addressing that is not going to address autism symptoms. But if you're worried that your kid is constipated or has GI issues, you're going to have better results. Instead of going to that expensive treatment in Mexico, you're going to have better results going to your doctor and saying, hey, I think my kid is constipated. Can we talk about his diet? Can we look at doing some blood work and you can tell me what you see? Instead of going to the fringe route of the biomedical stuff with autism, talk to your pediatrician and make sure the basics are taken care of, and then rely on your care team and your therapies. And if you do that, you can have the confidence you're doing everything. The answers to support your kid are not in those, fringe things that people are trying to sell you. It is in being consistent. Then number 2, not doing so much as a parent. You are trying to do so much. And you're going to burn out. This is a lifelong thing that you're going to have to help your child with. Okay, I have some more comments here. I missed this one from Naz. How does an adult get evaluated if I suspect autism? Insurance doesn't cover. $2,500 out of pocket. There's cheaper options. I've seen evaluations for $800 or so. But I would question it. Insurance should cover it. I would talk to insurance again because meeting with a psychologist and things like that is something that insurance should cover. Fluffy over on YouTube. Again, I'm reading comments on YouTube. If there's no comments there, I hop on back over to TikTok. Just trying to see. Okay. They're assessing my son, Fluffy says, over on YouTube, who is 5 on Thursday for EDA, PDA. Does this mean they also suspect autism? Fluffy, that's a good question. So I don't know where you live. In the United States, PDA is not an official diagnosis. It is a subtype. It is a profile of autism. And so you can't be diagnosed if your psychologist knows what you're doing with PDA unless you also have an autism diagnosis. That's my understanding of it. Naz says it's annoying when people pity us. Yeah, I agree. Alicia says, I hate when people say I'm sorry when they find out my son has autism. Yeah, I agree. Erica says same feeling. Can we talk about signs in autism, boys versus girls? Jocelyn, I'd love to. So some of the things that you'll see traditionally, girls are harder to diagnose because there is some evidence to suggest that they mask earlier in life. So all children with autism start learning to mask, but girls tend to mask earlier in life, and so it can hide autism a little bit. But the overall assessment and evaluation is the same. There's not many standard differences in what it looks like. It's just that girls tend to mask a little bit earlier. Samantha says, thank you. That's a reality. We as parents feel like we don't do enough. You're never going to feel like you are doing enough. Oh, shoot. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. Sorry about that, you guys. TikTok said that they didn't think I was really there, and I had to go and solve a puzzle, and it messed up my screen. Okay. As parents, we are magic for our kids. We have the power and strength even when we feel weak. We don't have all the answers, but we have the power and the love they need. I agree. You know what? Like, what your child needs is not more therapies, not more hours, not more, supplements. What your child needs is they need a parent who is regulated, a parent who's not burnt out, a parent who has slept the entire night. That's what your kid needs. And don't feel guilty for taking care of yourself and for not finding every little diet and treatment for your child. That's not sustainable. Fluffy says, I live in UK, so there is a high chance they do also suspect autism. Yes, my understanding is that you can't diagnose PDA without an autism diagnosis. But PDA is associated with level 1 autism typically. It's a profile under autism. We have another comment over on YouTube. Why is it so hard to get disability support? High-functioning autistic children. My worry is when something happens to me, he has problems in the public, which will prevent him from working. Guys, the long-term support is a big deal for our kids. How often do you think about what's going to happen after you pass your autistic child? That's a daily thought for me. There are resources out there, you guys, but I don't want you worried about this yet, guys. I talk about 5 parts of this autism journey. The first one is build your village. The second one is get a diagnosis, get clarity. The third one is build your care team with those 4 main types of therapy for your child. The fourth is you can learn about autism, try to be the best parent you can, learn how to be a good parent and implement some of these strategies at home and advocate for your child. That's a little bit more of, at that point, you can do. But the final thing that I want you worried about is your child's future. But we do have to get to that point because a lot of the wait lists, so there's something called Home and Community-Based Services, HCBS. That's what they call it at the federal level in the United States. However, the HCBS services are called something different in every state. For example, in California, I believe it's called the regional centers. In Utah, it's called DSPD. In New Mexico, it's called DDD. And it's, the long-term care services for people with disabilities. The problem with it is most states have extreme wait lists. In Utah, it's 10 to 20 years to be able to get off the wait list, and it's based on need, not amount of time. I talked to a mother who her child has been on the list to get long-term care for 25 years. These pay for things like group homes. So if the child can't live with you, if you pass, they have for life paid for support by the state. It also pays for things like respite and behavioral interventions and things like that. Oh, thank you so much, Era Palacios. I appreciate that. And Erica says, I think about it every day. Millie says, do you think I could get a diagnosis for a female 14-year-old? Yes, you don't have to be a little kid. You can get a diagnosis at any point in life. And the assessments are modified based on the age. So Julia says, do you have any advice on how I can improve my ability to articulate words when speaking? Also, how can I open myself more to things that are outside of my spin? Julius, I love that you are working on all of this. I recommend for those that have autism and they are verbal and they can communicate well, don't underestimate the power of therapy. There is nothing wrong with going to therapy. Guys, there should not still be a stigma about therapy. I go to therapy every week, okay? It is a good thing. It is a powerful thing, and it's part of how you take care of yourself. And so if you have autism and you have a lot of concerns of like, how do I open myself up more? How do I focus on this or that? You need to talk to a therapist, and you need to be extremely open and vulnerable in those therapy sessions. Go and seek it out, and find someone who specializes in autism. Okay. We have one more comment on, we have two more. Three more. Okay, sorry guys. Melissa says, hi Kylan, if we suspect our child has PDA or another diagnosis that can coincide with autism, do we go to their pediatrician or the psychiatrist that diagnosed the autism? Good question. I would go directly to the psychologist or the psychiatrist, whoever you went to, probably a psychologist, and have them reassessed if you have concerns. If it's similar to autism, the pediatrician, most of the time, they can do a little bit. If it's something like anxiety or things like that, if they're really good with autism, they could be good. It really depends on who your pediatrician is, but generally speaking, you wouldn't go wrong with reaching back out to the psychologist, unless that psychologist only does autism, and there are some that do that. Fluffy says, any advice for handling 5-year-old who previously only outwards would self-injure, but has began doing it in secret, also when they think no one is watching? I've got doctor's appointment in 2 weeks. Fluffy, that's a lot. Look, I talk all the time about stimming. You guys, we don't need to get our kids to stop stimming. And I just noticed we have 43,000 likes, and it's only been an hour. We're halfway through, and we already have 43,000 likes on TikTok. You guys are incredible. Thank you. But if you have a child who is stimming and hurting themselves, maybe they're hitting their head, maybe they're skin picking, this is something you have to address. And if it's happening, okay, as a behavior analyst, we look at what is the function of behavior. Why are they engaging in that behavior? And if that behavior happens when people are there, it happens when they're happy, it happens when they're sad, and it's in private, and it's also in public, that is a really good sign that they are engaging in that behavior for kind of a stim kind of thing, a stimulation, automatic reinforcement kind of behavior, a sensory need. That is a really strong signal of that. And so I can't give you clinical advice of how to exactly address that with your child, but what I can tell you is there's 2 professionals that are really going to be able to help. You have an ABA therapist who can do a functional assessment and help come up with a replacement behavior. Then occupational therapists are actually really good at identifying sensory needs that can help reduce some of these problems. And so those are the 2 experts I recommend that you consult with. Millie says, my child doesn't feel comfortable in therapy, only at school therapy with her at school therapist. Yeah, not everyone needs to do therapy either, and it can be when they're a little older. My name is Yale. We are waiting to get a diagnosis for my son who is verbal, but I'm also curious to know if anyone's child is scared of toilet flushing. He won't use the bathroom at school at all. Oh, I've had that happen before. Look, it can be a scary thing. You're going to need to work on that a little bit, and it might be that you flush the toilet and you make it a fun thing for them, and you turn it into a game, which I wouldn't do for most kids. But if they're scared of it, you can kind of pair it with things that are fun, things that are exciting, and kind of desensitize a little bit of that fear. Okay. If you need a village, Bad, thank you. If you need a village or have questions, please join Discord or the Facebook group. Yes, Bad, absolutely. Check my bio. We do have a Facebook group, and we do have a Discord. This conversation only goes on for 2 hours a day. After that, we don't have our village anymore, except for on those pages. So please join those pages. Let's keep our village strong outside of these lives as well. Let me do a little bit of an introduction. I like to do that about every 20 minutes or so to capture the new people coming in. If you are, and I know I already asked this a little bit earlier, but this was an hour ago that I asked it. If you are here for the first time, okay, on TikTok, put FYP in the chat if you found me on your For You page. I like to get a sense of how TikTok is sending out my stuff. Put FYP in the chat. Okay, so that means, okay, great. Wonderful. A lot of people here for the first time. So just to introduce myself, I go live every day for a couple hours. I'm an autism dad. I got a 3.5-year-old, almost 2-year-old, and I love my kids. I will do anything for them. And I have found that the world is unfair to people with autism. And I don't like it. People ask if I would cure my child's autism. No, I'd cure the world's ability to accept our children how they are. The world's discrimination towards our kids with autism. Why am I on here, or kind of what are my credentials or whatever? I'm an autism dad, but I'm also a board certified behavior analyst. I have a master's degree in autism studies. Been working with people with disabilities and autism for over a decade, and I'm the CEO of a company that does autism services for people with autism. Services for people with autism throughout the state of Utah. So that's a little bit about me. I go live every day, so make sure that you're following so that you can see when I go live next time. And today I'm prioritizing comments that are coming through on YouTube. If we don't have comments there, which we do have had some breaks, I pop back over onto TikTok. So let's go ahead and look here on TikTok or on YouTube. We have some questions that came in. Fluffy says, my son used to be scared of hand dryers and toilet flushing, and we made it into a game ourselves and explained the mechanics of how they work and encouraged him to ask questions about it. It helped. Yes, exposure is really the best thing to do here. It takes time, but eventually it's not going to be scary. We're dealing with this right now with the car wash with my son with autism. He hates the car wash. Millie says, we do have a lot of questions here I need to answer. Everything I look at for disability, our income is too high. But with the long wait list in Utah, 10 to 20 years, when he's an adult, he may need it and would qualify income-wise as an adult. What should I do? Okay, so DSPD in adults. So DSPD is like the group home and stuff. Apply for that now. And if you don't need it when he's an adult, he doesn't have to get it. But it puts you onto the wait list, and it's not based on income. It's not based on income. The DSPD isn't. Now, Social Security is, and Medicaid is. But if you have DSPD, then you actually bypass that income requirement, and you automatically get Social Security and Medicaid. So fight for DSPD if you're in Utah, Alicia. Stephanie says, my son is 6 and nonverbal. We are in the process of getting him diagnosed with ADHD to start meds. We have a wonderful BCBA we've been with since he was 2, and he just has a hard time focusing. He loves to learn. You know what? Having a solid team is everything. If you have a good BCBA, you can also look at occupational therapy. You can look at speech therapy. They're great too, but having that team is so important. Stephanie says, we want to give him the tools to help. I'm 34 and just diagnosed with ADHD, and meds have helped me. And I wish I had them when I was younger. You're doing the right thing. Consulting with a doctor, working with a doctor. These medications are evidence-based and prescribed for good reason. And if you're working with your doctor on it, like that's wonderful. Don't let anyone make you feel judged. You're going to hear, even me saying this out loud, I'm sure there's comments that are going to be coming in saying, no, drugs bad. Do not drug your child with autism. They just need gut health and diet and stuff. Please ignore those comments, okay? Please ignore people who say things like that, and just know, you know your kid, your doctor is the professional, and you're working with your doctor to find the best support. Millie says, my daughter is extremely stressed about any change, even sitting the wrong side of the car, and soon we may be moving. How can we cope, or hope? She is also scared, or how can we cope? She is also scared of hand dryer. She's nearly 14 though. The scared of change is such a big deal. Let me help you understand a little bit of this. I've heard autism described as being on a stage and everyone else, you're performing a play, and all the other actors in the play have the script, but you don't have a script. You don't know when to speak. You don't know when to stop speaking. You don't know where you're supposed to go, and it's confusing because everyone else seems to know. But the audience is watching you. They're laughing. they're judging. And when we talk about how it's hard for our kids with autism to deal with change, well, just imagine finally understanding your lines, finally understanding the script, and then a new play begins. And so the way that you help with that is you give your kid the script. You make sure that they know what the change is going to entail. You prepare them for it. You do everything that you can to prepare them for the changes, for the shifts, because every time there's a change, it's like a new play is beginning. Okay, why is it so hard to find ABA therapy for a teenager? I'll tell you why. Because if you think it's hard to deal with a 3, 4, 5-year-old with aggressive behaviors, it's even harder to deal with that with a teenager or adult. Not many people do it. My company in Utah, we serve all ages. We serve people who are under the age of 2 all the way up to, I think our oldest client is over the age of 50. And so people of all ages can benefit from therapy. And especially if they never had ABA therapy and they still don't have a way to communicate, they have more profound autism, ABA therapy and other services are so helpful. All right, everybody. Okay. Do sensory issues change with age? I'm back over here on TikTok, you guys. I'm answering questions here on TikTok. Do sensory issues change with age? Absolutely. You think you finally get a handle on the sensory needs and then they change. Sunflower says, if I bother him, he abuses me. How can I help him? Sunflower, who are you talking about, Sunflower? Are you talking about your child? Or are you talking about a spouse? Yeah, sorry, I don't think I got the rest of your... Okay, let me look up. I don't think I saw it. I don't think I saw it, Sunflower. I want to make sure that I address this. Yeah, I'm not seeing your other comment. It might have blocked it or something. But please send that again, and I'll look out for it. Aaron over on YouTube says, my 3-year-old nonverbal starts ABA tomorrow. I'm nervous on where to start. Aaron. Aaron, you are doing the right thing. Your child is only 3 years old, so young, and they're going to love ABA. If the ABA provider is good, your kid's going to beg to go back, and it's going to make your heart so warm when you pick him up, and he cries because he doesn't want to leave when you pick him up. And maybe it's not going to be like that. Maybe it takes him a minute, but you're doing the right thing. You say you're nervous on where to start. Let me make it real simple for you. The very first thing I would ask you, Aaron, is do you have a village? Do you have people in your corner? Let us be part of that village here on this live and in our Facebook group and in our Discord chat. But also you need in-person help. You need family. You need friends who are your village. After that, you need clarity. You already have that. You have a diagnosis. So you skip to step 3, which is building your care team. Now, for now, I want you to avoid all the fringe sciences. I want you to avoid all those things that you have to pay for out of pocket that insurance doesn't cover. And just focus on the 4 pillars of helping people with autism, which is ABA therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and mental health therapy. You don't have to do all 4 of those. You did ABA. That's the most time-consuming one that can have a ton of impact. And so you're doing right. You're doing great. And just stabilize. Breathe for a minute. After you start therapy, breathe for a minute. And then what I want you to do is try to learn as much as you can. Don't get into the fringe science stuff, but learn about autism. What services are available in your area? How can you advocate? That's step 4. The last and final step, step 5, is simply prepare for the future. You can start learning about trust funds for people with disabilities. You can start learning about services for adults that you have to apply for when they're young. And the journey can be simple. And the world is going to always tell you you're not doing enough. But I tell you, if you're doing these therapies, if you're making sure your kid is taken care of, and you are focused on making yourself not burn out, you're going to succeed with this. You're doing great. Gaylin says, my son got diagnosed recently, and he has autism and ADHD, and is being hard to find ABA in Massachusetts. Okay, Yeah. Again, I'm going to say the same thing I said about the diagnosis is don't be on a wait list for ABA. You keep calling everybody. Even if it ends up being a smaller company and they have to do remote for a while, that's okay. But call around as many people as you can. ABA is all over now. There's a lot of companies that do it. Yeah, you can do it. We have an assessment with early intervention on the 11th. What should I expect from this? Okay, so early intervention, your local state probably has early intervention services. These early intervention services go from birth until up to the age of 3. At the age of 3, the school typically takes over those services. For early intervention, they're going to see if they can justify doing supports with you. They're going to see if your child needs physical therapy, speech therapy, and what you can expect from this is you can expect a compassionate expert who can guide you with your child. My son had early intervention with a physical therapist because he couldn't sit up. He couldn't crawl at the age of 1. I mean, he was really struggling as a baby. And the physical therapist came in, and as a true expert, like she was, she gave me so much comfort and peace. So the assessment is just to determine if you're eligible for services, most likely. And it's probably a different person that you'll meet once they decide what services are available. All right, we got more questions coming in from TikTok or from YouTube. What is ABA? ABA is applied behavior analysis. It's one of the therapies that supports people with autism. It is the structure of it is you have a behavior analyst who supervises a behavior technician. The technician is like a paraprofessional. They don't have a degree. They just have some training, and they are the ones who work directly with your child for up to 40 hours a week. Then the behavior analyst supervises on occasion about 10% of the sessions. And they can work on communication. They can work on skill building. They can work on just about anything to help your child grow. They'll do assessments and evaluations and support your kid with hands-on play that supports growth. All right, people. We are... EJ is over on YouTube. Oh, wait. First, let's get to Galen, who says, the doctor extremely recommended ABA. We have an intake with Behavioral Frontier, and they say he didn't qualify because he's a level 1. What? What? No. These levels are nonsense. Levels don't mean anything. Why would they say that he doesn't qualify because he's level 1? I've never heard of insurance. Insurance doesn't even need a level. That is unacceptable. I would call other ABA providers. To me, what that sounds like is maybe they have requirements for their own company of who they specialize in working with. And it might not be your child. And if that's the case, then it's better to find someone else anyways. So EJ says, for the people in the TikTok chat, let's be clear. The supports required for autistic people are level 1, 2, 3. People does not equal ability. So the levels are kind of meaningless. The psychologist can just say whatever they feel. There's no standard test. There's no standard assessment that is done to determine what level your child is. It's not based on IQ. Level 3 is considered high support needs, and level 1 is considered low support needs. And it's a snapshot in time based on the clinician's judgment right then. So there's not consistency across psychologists of what's level 1, 2, and 3. And also across time, that same psychologist would rate it differently. So your child's identity has nothing to do with the level that the psychologist gave you. I need you to hear that. Okay. Many don't even give a level. Galen says, yes, that was crazy to me. I've been reaching out and trying different places. Yeah, please reach out. That is pretty crazy. Millie says, do you recommend a private diagnosis or a general one by a GP? So they need to actually do an autism evaluation. A general practitioner is not able typically to do that because they have to be trained in the ADOS. And if a GP just puts autism down on a piece of paper, insurance isn't going to accept it because they need to know who did the evaluation and what evaluation was done. So yeah, you need to go get an official diagnosis. Paula says, my son is level 1 and he's 14. He's regressing. Could hormones affect him? Yes. Okay. Puberty is a lot. And I see a lot of people who the support needs increase as the child goes through puberty. There's a lot of hormones, but there's also a lot of social things happening to that child right now. A lot of social pressures, a lot of feelings going on within his body, increasing and worsening some of the stressors that he has. So okay. Yeah, EJ says you don't have level 1 or level 3 people. Yeah, EJ, that's a good point. You don't say yeah, I have a level 1 child or I have a level 3 child. But I understand why you say that. Like, they were diagnosed with that support need at the time of the diagnosis, and I understand what you're saying. And typically, for those wondering, like typically if someone says my child is level 1, what they're meaning is that they're able to communicate well. And communication is usually the indicator between the levels, which is kind of silly because there's more to autism than communication. But usually that's what you hear. If someone says my child is level 1, that means that they communicate really well conversationally. Level 2 is like they have some words, and level 3 is like they're not communicating at all. And generally speaking, when people say that, that's what they're trying to easily say about their child. But again, that's not really an accurate way to talk about kids, but I understand why people do it just out of ease to kind of explain where their kid is. Erica says, my 11-year-old has trouble sleeping. Every little sound wakes him up. Guys, if you are in TikTok, I want to know, put sleep in the chat if your child struggles with sleep. I think this is more common than people realize. Sleep issues with autism is such a big deal. Such a big deal. I read a study the other day that just got published that explained and demonstrated that kids with autism often don't reach the deep sleep as easily. Essentially, the world that's so loud for the kids, while they're sleeping, the world is still loud for that kid. And it makes it hard to sleep. Sleep problems are a real thing, a real problem for kids with autism. And you can definitely address it behaviorally by creating a good routine that you can follow with your child. I also recommend getting a sleep clock. What is a sleep clock? I have an example of it in my bio in the Amazon list that I have in there. I use the Hatch light for my own child, and what that does is it's red when it's time for him to be in bed, and it's green when it's time for him to wake up. And so we've played that game. He understands it because of the amount of time that we've used it. And so that is something that you can do, but also don't hesitate to talk to your pediatrician about supplements or medication for your child. Things like melatonin or magnesium, your pediatrician might recommend for your child. If those don't work, sometimes they recommend clonidine. Please do not hesitate to try these if your child is not sleeping. For two reasons. One, if your child is not sleeping, that means you are probably not sleeping. And your child needs you rested. Your child needs you not burned out. Your child deserves to have a parent who is well rested and able to solve problems with them. But also, your child, sleep is such a strong indicator of growth. As soon as your child starts sleeping well, you're going to start seeing more progress. Okay. I'm a psychiatric structure that only takes outside observation into account and makes little effort to understand the subjective experience of the autistic person. Communication is all they see. EJ, exactly. Yeah, the level system kind of, but in my experience, that's what they're trying to say with the levels, and it's unfortunate. Caddy over on TikTok says it's so hard not getting sleep, and then he goes to school grumpy. Absolutely, yes. You and you're not going to learn. I mean, that's a day wasted at school because he's not going to learn if he's so tired. All right, everybody. Anyone have a question? If you have a question, go ahead and hop in the box. I'm going to turn the invite on, and we're going to do some rapid fire questions for the next little bit. Now, if you don't have a question, don't invite up yet. We'll have some time for just talking at the end of our live. But right now, I want if you have questions about autism, go ahead and invite up. I'm going to change the settings to make it. Let's see. Okay, I think it's working now. We're gonna have some guests up here. Sandra, where are you calling in from?
I'm in North Carolina. I was diagnosed last July at 58 years and 10 months.
Oh my
I,
goodness.
yeah, it was never on my radar because I didn't know anything about the more I hate the term high functioning.
Yeah,
I
but
really,
you
it
didn't
annoys.
have a ton of support needs, but you noticed some differences and wanted answers. You have a question
Yeah,
about that,
but
or were you just coming up to share that experience with us?
I'm really struggling now. Where
Yeah.
do I find community?
Oh my gosh, that is a good question. You guys, if you have autism, it can and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it can be hard to feel like you have community and that you have village. And you need that. And so there are places that you can find that. We have a Facebook group that is for autism parents and people with autism. And we really value people, especially that have autism, that can shed light on the autism perspective. These lives are a safe place for you, and just keep on looking, keep on finding friends. I appreciate you coming up, and I
I
yeah, go ahead.
I one of my struggles is that there seems to be a huge focus on kids, and there are so many of us autistic adults, especially newly diagnosed, who are just kind of lost with all of it and very
Yeah.
overwhelmed in learning that all of these things that we've been doing our entire lives are all due to the autism.
Yeah, due to the autism and not something that you have to mask or hide. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to, be different. And I think that's what's becoming more and more normalized is it's okay not to mask. And the diagnosis that you got is not only, validation for how you feel, but it should be a freedom to you of it's okay to do those things that I've been doing.
Yeah, except that there's just very little focus on adults out there.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. I'm in talks with someone. I need to learn more, but their whole thing is they do therapy for autistic adults across the United States. But I agree with you. Right now, the top recommendation that I have for people is if you have autism and you were diagnosed later in life and you're fully conversational, your number one resource right now is mental health therapy. I recommend that you find a therapist who knows autism and get into therapy. Thank you for coming up. I really appreciate your input, and I hope you find Village here. You guys, if you request up, you have a question for us. That is what we're doing right now, and I want to bring people up that have questions and that we can talk about things. We have Isabel here that I am bringing up that has a question for us. Where are you calling in from, Isabel?
From California.
You're from California. Great. What can we do for you? What's your question?
My son is autistic.
Wonderful.
I'm sorry, I'm very shy. Um, he, I fought with three doctors to get him diagnosed with autism. I ended up going to Children's Hospital, and his doctor was a major help with getting him all the help that he needed. He transitioned from verbal, beautiful language to nonverbal, and it took 2 years to get him speaking. again, and
Oh
he's
my
doing
goodness.
much better. And like I said, it was hard because when he was talking, his voice and the way he communicated was so clear, so expressive, and then one day it was gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I experienced that with my daughter. She was responding to her name, she was learning new words, and then she just started to regress and go backwards. How old was he when he started regressing? Was it during that typical 12 to 18-month age that he started to regress?
He was when he stopped talking at all. He
Yeah.
was 3.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's hard. How old is he now?
he's 11. He's about to be 12 in a month.
And he's communicating well now? How's he doing today?
Now it's hard,
Yeah.
but um, we we try everything. We practice most of the words. We do. When we drive from school, ask him questions. I try to get him to clear out his verbs and try to communicate. He does real good, but he regresses a lot.
Yeah. I hear you. What question do you have for us today?
The question is, I've been asked this a lot.
Yeah.
Everybody who knows that my son is autistic, it's 2 questions. They always ask me, why is it that most kids are diagnosed with autism now more than before?
Yeah.
And I try to explain what I know. And then the second question is, everybody says, well, your child's really well behaved and he looks very normal. I know I heard this a lot. I've been around kids with special needs and I try to, but what is normal now?
Yeah. Yeah. Those are some good questions. And let me tell you my thoughts, and hopefully this can kind of guide how maybe some people can respond to this when you get asked this. You're going to run into a lot of, and I'm sure you have run into a lot of judgmental people out there. And you'll get questions about, oh, how much screen time does your child have? You must not discipline your child. Or, all these things making you feel like it's your fault as the mom that your child has autism. And the very first thing I want to say to all the autism parents listening is you did not do this to your child. This is not something that you caused. This is the way that your child was developed. This was how their brain was formed while you were pregnant with them. But this question about let's see. The first question was it why are there so many people diagnosed nowadays? Was that the first question?
Why most kids are being diagnosed in a higher rate now
Sorry,
than
you cut
before?
out. You cut out. I couldn't hear that. Can you say that again?
I'm sorry. I said they asked me why do I think that most kids are getting diagnosed
Yeah.
now in a higher rate than before.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me explain my thoughts and how I answer that when people ask me. So, yeah, you hear a lot people say, "Oh, back in my day, people didn't have autism." There's two thoughts to that. One is yes, they did, and those who were most profoundly autistic were moved to institutions outside of schools, and you didn't see them. And the second one is in 2013, the definition of autism changed. And so before 2013, autism only meant those who were more profoundly impacted by autism. And in 2013, they changed it to be the spectrum, which includes all sorts of, it included the previously labeled Asperger's as well as some others. It was the full spectrum. And so that widened it. And then what really has helped is at 18 months and 24 months, any competent pediatrician is expected to do an autism screening on the child at 18 months and 24 months. And so those are the two big things. One is that the criteria for autism literally changed, making it huge and encompassing a lot of people. And then the second thing is we are screening for it regularly at 18 months and 24 months. And so we have no evidence that actual rates of autism are increasing. But we've defined better what autism is, and we're screening for it to catch it in young children. And that's why we're also seeing all the people getting diagnosed, they're not all kids. There's so many adults who are like, hey, you know what? I didn't speak well until I was 2 or 3, and I had these problems, and I kind of still have some problems. Like maybe I am autistic. And so, like, because they didn't get screened as a little kid, they're getting diagnosed now. And so I think it's reassuring to know that there's not an increase in epidemic of autism. There's just better recognition of it. It
Why
sounds
would
like you're underwater. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Put in the chat if you do have more questions on that. I appreciate you coming up. It's a good topic. Let's see. We have a question that I'm just seeing here that I want to address on TikTok. Is it possible to heal autism? You hear people talk about healing or reversing or curing autism quite often. And I want you to know that's not a thing. You don't heal from autism. You don't reverse autism. You don't cure autism. You support autism. But I think what people really mean is it possible to grow and learn even if you have autism? The answer is yes. People with autism learn, they grow, they change all the time. And the best evidence way to do that is through therapies that support autism. All right, let's go back over to the YouTube. Again, I am prioritizing comments on YouTube today. Let's see. EJ says that and reactions to sensory sensitivities, thus the only two spectrum discussed as diagnostics. It's like neurotypicals are the ones with mind blindness. Yeah, good perspective. Erica says, there's a question I had earlier that I must have missed. Okay, Erica, let me look. Here. You might need to put it again, Erica, if you're still here. Go ahead and put it again if you want to. It might have censored it. I'm not seeing it. Okay. What, if anything, have you heard about metal detox? You guys, this is a big one, and I go live at nights often to have more controversial discussions with people who disagree. Very calmly though. I don't get upset. But detox is one of those that I'm pretty passionate about. I'm passionate about it because I see people selling to you. I see people knowing that you are scared and knowing that you have fear about autism and wanting to do what's best for your child. And then they show you how their kid talks now and they didn't used to. And it's all because of this detox that they did. And it's linked in their bio where you can buy it. Be very resistant of that. Be hesitant to do anything like that. The metal detox is considered fringe science. It is not real evidence-based science, and there's theory behind it, and they may cite abstract studies, but what doesn't hold up is blind clinical trials addressing autism and detox. And any of those detox protocols do not improve autism symptoms when you look at the data. So no, do not do that. You don't need to be doing that. Detox is snake oil. Yep, I agree. What do you think of ABA? I think ABA is an incredible blessing and support to people. I think that there are some ABA practitioners, and a lot more in the past, who have over-focused on masking and over-focused on compliance, which has given ABA a bad name. But most ABA practitioners that I know, and I know a lot, I'm a BCBA myself, they are very neuroaffirming. They want kids who STEM to continue to STEM. And they don't overfocus on some of those things now. Is there an age limit on ABA? So there are some states that limit the age to like 21, but many states there is no age cap. And my company in Utah that I'm the CEO of, we serve all ages, including adults. Okay. All right. we are going to we're going to bring up some friends now. Okay, if you are up here and you just want to hang out and you are a regular, you've been here before, and you just want to talk, we have some regulars that we bring up, and it's just time to visit. So I'm gonna clear out the people in the guest box and go ahead and request up if you want to just chat and visit with us. We're in the last little bit, and Abby says, can healing the gut help with autism? So it does not address autism symptoms, but if your child has gut problems, like constipation or something, then going to a GI doctor and getting treated for gut problems absolutely can help your child be more comfortable. But the guts products and supplements, I don't recommend at all. That is not the gut-brain axis theory of, the gut is leaking metals and impacting the way that it's communicating to the brain. Like that is all fringe science that there's not good evidence for right now. Probiotics are okay. If you're giving any supplements to your child, I recommend you consult with your doctor. Don't just start doing any supplements. A lot of the supplements that people offer, if they're telling you that it's going to address autism, they're feeding a false hope. There's no pill that addresses autism symptoms. There's no cure. There are therapies that support autism. But if it's what you do for your health and you want to pass down how you take care of your body to your kid and you have ideas like that, that's great. Okay, we have some more questions on YouTube. I am prioritizing questions on YouTube. And we see Millie, who says, why is diagnosis harder for females? Well, Millie, girls tend to mask earlier in childhood than boys. And so we often see misdiagnoses of girls earlier on. There's more false negatives. Kennedy says, how can I get my 19-year-old diagnosed? We've always suspected she has autism. She shows a lot of signs. Okay, so you don't even need a referral typically from a pediatrician or a doctor. You can just find a psychologist. You're going to look up your area, look up autism evaluations, and find one that serves adults. Now, just know that adults typically have a longer wait time than kids because they're not at this critical time of their life where every month impacts the rest of the trajectory of their life. And so you might have to wait a little longer, but yeah, I'd recommend going and getting evaluated. All right. I'm in England and they're saying that ADHD and autism is being overdiagnosed. So I don't believe that it's being overdiagnosed. I know that it's pretty rigid on the evaluations. I have seen some instances of fraud of people getting an autism diagnosis to qualify for ABA and then not actually doing ABA. There's some controversial fraud stuff that has happened before, but this idea that it's overdiagnosed is just, I think it's just people didn't realize how common autism was. Let's see. We have some more comments over on YouTube, you guys. I am prioritizing comments on YouTube right now, and we already have over 100,000 likes. Oh my gosh. This is crazy, you guys. 100,000 likes? I think that's only happened 2 or 3 times for me. I am impressed. Thank you, guys. That means the world that we're getting this out there. I want to know who's the demographic in here right now. I did this kind of test early on, but I like to see who do we have in here. Put 1 in the chat if you're an autism parent. Put 2 in the chat if you have autism or believe you have autism. And then put 3 in the chat if you're here to just learn about autism. Please go ahead, put it in the chat. I like to see the chat moving, the chat going. Let's not get sleepy here. Be typing in. Let's be talking to each other, you guys. We got lots of 1s, lots of 2s, and lots of 3s. We have a good mix, you guys. I'd say mostly 1s. I think 1s probably win. Maybe I should do a poll at some point instead of just putting it in the chat. I think I can do that, but I need to learn how a little bit better. Okay. So this is great, you guys. We do have a question over here. Erica says, my 9-year-old girl has major anxiety attacks when the weather changes, for example, thunder and wind. How can I help her with that? Oh my gosh. That's a good question. Okay. You have to know that there's a lot of sensory things going on with these big changes. I mean, thunder and wind. My son hates the wind. If things are blowing or whatever, there's some major sensory nightmares there. And so I don't know that I have really good advice other than making sure that she feels safe. Feeling safe while those things are happening is the best way to kind of be desensitized, for lack of a better word, is help them feel safe while they have to go through. And those are things you can't control. You can't control if there's thunder. You can't control if there's wind. But you can make sure she feels safe and regulated and understand that she is only 9, and that can improve. It can improve. Headphones, Biscotti, thank you. There are accommodations that you can make that can help it be a little bit more comfortable. I don't know if headphones would help, but that's always a good option. All right, you guys. We are, let's see. We're going to keep going with some questions, guys. We still have some time. Go ahead and be putting it in the chat if you have questions. We are talking about autism. About every 20 minutes, I like to give a quick introduction for people that are newly hopping in here. I go live every day for a couple hours. I am a board-certified behavior analyst. I'm a parent of 2 beautiful children with autism, and also 2 other children who don't have autism. And my 4 kids mean the world to me. And this channel is my village. This channel is me spreading advocacy and making people aware of issues that come with autism and autism parenting. I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. I've been working with people with autism for over 10 years. I never thought that I would have a child with autism. If you can relate to that, put me in the chat. Who here never thought that they would have a child with autism? They always saw other people having kids with autism, and you never thought that it was going to be you. That's how I felt. I was in denial for a while. I worked with so many people with autism, and I think even though I knew so much about autism, there was a belief I held within me of like, oh no, I'm too good of a parent. I wouldn't have a child with autism. My genes are too good, or my parenting is too good. And I never said that out loud and never like consciously thought it. But I think there was a little bit of that feeling as my child started to show signs of autism. I never thought it was going to be me. I currently run a company in Utah that we do autism services, and we support people in Utah that have autism. If you live in Utah, let me know. Let me know if you live in Utah and if you want some supports. My company, depending on the area, we have a wait list in some areas, but not all places. I'm not on here trying to market for them. We have our own marketing team, and they do a good job doing things. But I like connecting to people who need support. Oh, I'm only in Utah, but eventually we'll expand out. Let me know, where do you guys live? Where are you from? What state are you in, or what country are you in if you're not in the US? Where are you from? Put it in the chat. I want to see where people are. We got Texas. We got Maryland. We got California, the UK, New Mexico, Kentucky, Sweden. Oh my gosh, Erica, I love Sweden. I've been to Stockholm, and it was my favorite vacation. It was my favorite trip. It was, the people in Sweden are the nicest. Like, I don't know how else to put it, but like, if you want to go somewhere and feel like you belong, I mean, man, Sweden is the place. I love it. Okay, Florida over on YouTube. That's great. Arizona, Amsterdam, Jordan, Virginia, South Africa, Missouri. Guys, autism doesn't know borders, okay? It doesn't know race. Autism is genetic. It is everywhere. And it is genetic. I saw that question come through. We know that autism is genetic. Okay. I want everyone to look up here, and if it says follow, that means you're not yet following me. If you just tap that button, you'll be able to see me next time I go live, which I go live daily. And sometimes I do surprise lives at night where I get a little more controversial and bring people up who disagree with me. Okay, Michelle said, I probably missed this, but what's your feelings on genetics testing? Okay, there are some good genetics testing. The genetics testing that I recommend are things like the Spark study, which they help identify genetic markers that are correlated with autism. There are some genetic testing I don't recommend. Okay? Or you could do, but it has nothing to do with autism. The one that comes to my mind is the MTHFR genetic mutation. There's this theory that it's connected to autism. That's just a theory. It has not been widely accepted or demonstrated. About 50%, 40 to 50% of the population has the MTHFR gene variation. And so people get tested and then they think they have an answer for why their kid has autism. And you don't. The MTHFR is not related to autism. And so I don't recommend you do that just because of autism. But after you get diagnosed, they'll probably refer you to the Spark study and you can go and get genetics tested and be part of it, but also see if your child has some of those markers, genetic markers. Okay, I think this is comment of the day. Keaton says, I don't need genetic testing. My fossil collection is proof enough. You guys, that is a beautiful comment. I love that. And yeah, it makes me question some things about myself now. Thank you. I'm not diagnosed with autism, but I definitely meet the criteria for special interests because I get so locked in on one thing. Right now it's TikTok, and I get locked in and I do amazing. Okay. Before this, it was golf, and I got locked in and I had a special interest of golf. I've had special interests. So I don't know. I haven't had some of the other features of autism, but maybe there's a little bit there. Who knows? Okay, Kendi says, I have that gene. You should see my Magic the Gathering collection. Hey, I was going to say that about my Pokemon cards from when I was like 11. I still have those. And yeah, maybe I'm still proud of them too. Destiny says that her husband has a touch of it as well. You know what? Like that's beautiful. You can absolutely see it in yourself. You can see it in your spouse, but it's not always genetic in that sense, if that makes sense. Just because your kid has autism, that doesn't mean that they inherited it directly from you. Genes mutate without having, like, genetic means it's caused by the DNA, it's caused by the genes, not necessarily that the parent has autism and passed it down to the child. And so just be aware of that. I hear people all the time like make comments of like, oh yeah, like when a kid has autism, I always know that when they come in to meet me that one of them is going to have autism too. I always try to find out which one they got it from. And I think that's an ignorant way to look at it. Just because you have a kid with autism doesn't mean that you or your parent does. It could, but genetics don't always work like that. Okay, everybody, we are coming to the end of this live today. I've appreciated all of this. Again, if you want to be part of this village long term, after I hang up, and you have found this to be helpful, beneficial, you like this community, I want you to go and click on my bio, and I want you to join our Facebook group or our Discord group, our Discord chat. Both of those are active groups that we have active conversations. We support each other. Also, make sure you're following me so that you can see me next time. And we got 112,000 likes. Today was a great day on the stream, you guys. Just remember that if you're an autism parent, I want you to take care of yourself today. I want you to do something less for your family Drop something that you were supposed to do for your family today. Maybe that's laundry. Don't do it today. Do it tomorrow. And then I want you to do one thing for you. Instead of doing the laundry, I want you to go watch your favorite show for 30 minutes. Go watch a show. Go watch a show for an hour. Stop doing laundry. Go do your show. Something like that. And these are the little things that we have to remind ourselves to do as autism parents, because you have to take care of yourself if you're going to be doing this long term. This is your official permission to do this, okay? One thing less for your family, one thing more for yourself today. All right. Thank you guys. Take care of yourself, and who knows, maybe I'll be on later tonight. If I do, it'll be about 10 p.m. Eastern time. If I do, but for sure I'll be here tomorrow at noon Eastern time. So thank you guys. Have a good one.